Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. So pleased to have in the studio with us today Victor Minces. He is a researcher with Listening to Waves at UCSD. How you doing, Victor?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, absolutely. Joined by my associate producer of the Spotlight Show and very, very frequent co-host, Sophia Lee, who will be heading out to UC Berkeley in a few weeks. How you doing there, Sophia?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Hey, Brian, if we don't tell you this enough, then shame on me. I'd say you've done an unbelievable job as associate producer.
Oh, thank you.
You're wonderful as a co-host. You're doing your own podcast with your colleague Madison. So I hope you're enjoying this gig.
I really am. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, and Victor, just a little bit of a background. We ran into Sophia. One of the organizations I work with is called Classroom of the Future Foundation. We've been around since '97, and we really focus on college and career pathways, talking about what pathways there are to different jobs, and they change every 5 seconds. So at this summit, we do annual summits with breakout sessions that focus on AI or cybersecurity. But we've done student panels before, and so we decided to do one this. And Sophia and her colleague Madison just absolutely killed it. And I think my business partner, Charles Parisi, hired her on the spot, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? Or close to that.
He invited us onto Spotlight, which was super, super cool for just 2 high school students.
So she came on as a, being interviewed and then co-host, and now she's doing her own stuff. So it's all good. All right, Sophia, you got a question for Victor?
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about the mission of your organization.
So my organization officially is UCSD, and I created a program which is hosted in UCSD, where I'm a researcher. And I would say the mission of my program, or my personal mission, is for children to be more engaged in school and to be more engaged in life, and to appreciate and discover the wonder of science and also the wonder of sound. So the science of sound is really, really fascinating. And there's much more to it than most people imagine. There are many, many experiences with sound that are very surprising. And of course, there's the connection with music, which everybody loves. So there's a science of music, there's a science of sound, and they're connected and they're fascinating. Yes.
I'm just so thrilled about this. Especially when you show kids that, why am I studying science? There's no application in my life. Actually, everything you do, every second you breathe, everything you do is tied to science, right? And that's what you do. And of course, great science teachers do that. And they, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I'm involved in science every time. And then you get into really, you sit there, peel the onion, and you go to sound, okay? And then you hit my favorite topic, music. I can listen to live music 24/7 and for the next 7,500 years and all that aspect of it. But how did you get interested? Are you a musician? Did you get, as a young kid, you were just fascinated by sound and making sound, or making music, or both?
So I'm a terrible musician. But as a little kid, I was very interested in science and very interested in art. I'm actually, if I might say so, I'm a good artist. I'm a good painter. And now I'm doing sound art, which I can tell you later
Please.
about. So then I went to school, and school made me hate science. And so you're saying a good teacher can make science interesting? That is partially true because teachers are still bound by what they are allowed to teach,
unfortunately,
and by standards, and sometimes those are very dry. With that said, I had some good teachers and I had some bad teachers. And by the end of high school, I hated science. So I went into art because my art teachers were actually fantastic. And I started art for a few years. And then I started becoming more interested in science again after the high school wounds healed. I needed that. Science is so stimulating. It's challenging, and I'm very curious. So I started studying physics just to play around, and which is I'm blessed that in Argentina you can sign up and go to the university just to play around because everybody can
wow,
get in and you don't have to pay. And I became so interested. So I went and studied physics and found amazing people. And the courses were amazing. And one thing that really blew my mind was the physics of sound. So I took a laboratory course in which we were studying actually the sound and waves. The physics of waves are really fascinating. And for example, and you might appreciate this as a podcaster, seeing the sound wave reflecting my voice. So we're feeding a microphone to a way of visualize the sound waves, and the sound waves are really how the air is vibrating, right? And I saw it, and it blew my mind, and I became super interested in sound after that. Of course, I love music, and so sound and the connections with music, and then I got very interested through working with a professor, Gabriel Mindin, a mentor to me, in neuroscience. So if you study physics, actually, okay, I'm biased because I am a physicist and I love physics, but physics sort of allow you to go to anything. It gives you a very, very strong foundation for any other science form. And actually, there's physics working in computer science and finance and all types of sciences. And it's a really great foundation. So I got really interested in neuroscience. So I can get my PhD in computational neuroscience at UCSD. So computational neuroscience is neuroscience, but seen through a physical and mathematical lens. Is actually very related to what is now AI. And actually, a lot of the machine learning developments were made at UCSD. So I was in the computational neuroscience program, and I wanted to do biology. I wanted to see what happens in an actual brain. So I got my my PhD with my mentor, Andrea Chiba, also wonderful. And I was studying how rats process sensory stimuli, including sound, like sequences of sound and rhythms and so forth. And that was really fascinating work, but at some point it turned a little bloody for my taste. So I stopped doing it, and Andrea, I got my PhD, and Andrea said, "Do you want to do experiments with children and music and education?" And that was fantastic for me because it really merged my interest in art and also using these mathematical tools that I had acquired and developed, and also my interest on serving the community and making education better, so other children wouldn't suffer school as much as I did.
I was just going to say your experience with that, maybe torch is too strong of a word here, on science, which is sad because you love science. and he didn't love it because of what happened in high school. We're chatting with Victor Minces. He's a researcher at UCSD, listening to waves, his passion for physics, for sound, for music, and so forth, working with his students on that. I'm joined by Sophia Lee, associate producer of Spotlight on the Community. I'm Drew Schlosberg, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We're in our 19th year with the longest-running community podcast, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things for people in San Diego County for more than 6 decades. You like music, do you not, Sophia?
I like music a lot.
Are you fascinated by this topic here?
Yeah, and actually there's a lot of science that I kind of learned because I play classical violin. So I was really shocked when I learned this, but Pythagoras, the guy who invented the Pythagorean theorem, he also invented the musical scales through mathematical something. I don't know. I get lost at that part. But yeah, it's super cool to see how the two relate. And how do you kind of teach this to kids and make them fascinated about music and sound and ultimately learning science?
So I created this program called Listening to Waves to bring the wonders of science to the classroom. And I was very fortunate to get the trust of the National Science Foundation, who has been funding my work. And now I do this 100% of my time. So I do it in many ways. Some of it is creating activities that are physical, hands-on, and they are very hard to demonstrate if you don't have those materials. So I cannot demonstrate them here, although I be able to show, or you might be able to hear some of the web applications that we make. So some of it is hands-on, and some of it is related to these web applications that we made. We have 5 so far, and the web applications allow you to explore sound, visualize sound, like what I did when I was in physics. This thing that blew my mind. We made a version of that is very easily accessed on the web, and is very interactive. So you can visualize sound, but you can also use the applications to create sound. And create sound is kind of the basis of making music, right? But in this process of creating sound, you are also starting to understand how sound works and how waves work. So the applications can be found on our website, listeningtowaves.com, and there's a tab for web apps, and they're super fun. Kids love it.
You know, we come back from break. Victor, I want to chat with you and how the teachers have been receptive to working with the students. And are they, primary kids? Are they K through 3? Are they 4 through 6? Are they middle school, high school? Are they all K through 12 in that area? When we come back with this chat with Victor Minces, who's a researcher about listening to waves, all about sound and music. He's at UCSD. We'll be back right after this quick break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We got the nation's longest running community podcast in our 19th year, brought to you by the fine folks at Mission Fed Credit Union. So pleased to have in the studio with us today Victor Minces. He's a researcher talking about his Listening to Waves program. It's at UCSD. Totally fascinated by waves, music, sound, physics, everything in between in this area. Are the teachers receptive to this?
The teachers are very receptive. And actually, since this is funded by the National Science Foundation, it's not only an outreach program, it's also a research program. So part of what we want to do is also to establish the basis to know what things are important for other people to incorporate, let's say, in an educational program. And our main goal is engaging children in science. So we do research and we give surveys. After taking our workshops, teachers actually say that they are more excited about teaching science than before. They take out the workshops and they're really eager to go to the classroom and use our resources. And we follow up with them after they teach it, and they are super stoked. And part of it is, or like maybe the larger part of it is that they can see how their children respond. And we also have great data from children, and actually children say that they like going to school more on the days that they had our program. And that is not because of, our personal charm and working with kids and our expertise, because this is given to the children through their teachers. So this program really has legs, can really engage lots of children.
If humans are funny, that's an understatement of the world, right? And there are things we've known since people were walking upright, and it only takes us like 40,000 years to figure out, geez, if we actually teach kids what they like to learn about, and music and dance and sound and fun and play, you're going to learn everything you need about history and science and math and language arts and all that. I'm not sure why it takes us so long to do this. And those experiences, doggone well, you had them from a sort of a negative standpoint with some of your, science teachers, not necessarily with your art teachers. You loved your art teachers, okay? So they hit it off on that. I was the same way. I got to tell you something. We had some great art teachers, and I could barely draw a stick figure, for God's sake. My mom was an artist. She was a professional artist. Nothing rubbed off on me. But
there are some great stick figures there.
Maybe I need to sit there and work with you, and maybe we'll get some waves going on this. But one of the things, and maybe you can address this, is we know there's much said about art therapy, right? As there is about music therapy and about sound. Talk about how that absolutely does impact your brain. You mentioned about the brain. Do you know Jacopo, Anise, the Brain Observatory?
People keep bringing him up.
So you two are kindred spirits.
Pointing out to him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You need to read. Yeah. He's great. Anyway, but talk about that. How it does affect the brain and the music and how you feel and the sound and all that business.
So there is a lot of research about that. With that, it's not my specialty.
Right.
First of all, I have to say that we don't always need to wait for scientists to confirm what we already feel. And I invite you to do the exercise of thinking how would life would be without music.
I'd evaporate. Let me just tell you that right now.
Yeah. So I think music makes us all happy, and I think, or happier. And one thing that I am very, very interested in is how music can create community, and the role of singing together, actually doing things together, doing things in unison. And there is a lot of evidence that doing things in unison and singing together increases our connection with the community. Actually, one of the most impactful stories that I can think of about that is when I went to Chestertown, which is a little beautiful town in Maryland, and my friend's mom started a ukulele club. It's a tiny town. But she ended up having 80 people in the ukulele club who would meet every week. And she was telling me about this old man. He was like 90. He had trouble walking, but he would never miss a ukulele club session. So imagine how important that might be for their life, especially in a time in which there's a loneliness epidemic, So
isolation is one of the things that is growing by leaps and bounds in our world. I'm not sure you've heard much about that, Sophia, and especially with not just seniors mainly in this, but isolation is a huge. I might as well say it's so new, but it's getting a lot more attention now. Mm-hmm. And getting back to music, and I'm a little prejudiced because that's all I can talk about is music. I've been lucky enough to go to the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival for 36 years.
Nice.
I hear 40 concerts every year at Humphreys. We saw one yesterday. And to me, it is a collaborator. It brings people together. And if you think about if we all focused on this, what a different world this would be. Oh, my goodness, it'd be amazing. And let me ask you this in a couple of our last questions here. What can our listeners do to support the efforts that you are doing?
Well, first of all, go and check our website and play with our tools, and you see how wonderful they are.
And the website is?
listeningtowaves.com.
Okay, good.
And if you have teacher friends, share it with them. I assure you, the children would love it. And then, in terms of funding, as I say, we're very blessed that we have the trust of the National Science Foundation. But the funding situation, as you might know, is very uncertain now for science in general, and for education in particular. I don't have my own nonprofit, but if somebody is interested in supporting our program and expanding our program, that would be very welcome. And if you go to listeningtowaves.com, the contact field goes directly to me.
Yeah, listen, offline, we're going to chat a little bit more about Jacopo. He's one of Charles's close colleagues. Cloudcast is doing a lot of work with Jacopo. I've been, honored through Charles to meet him several times, and you and him are kindred spirits on this. And I think Charles would also agree that, we got to find a way to get, Victor involved somehow in Classroom of the Future and some of the, things that we're doing at the Linda Vista Innovation Center. Victor, what a joy chatting with you. Wishing you nothing but great success. Hope people go to that website, and I'm sure this won't be the last time we'll be chatting on our show.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and nice to meet you both.
Absolutely. Victor Minces, researcher in this program, is listening to Waves at UCSD. As always, Sophia Lee, I always appreciate when you are co-hosting with me. Sophia is the associate producer of the Spotlight on the Community Show. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and we've been doing this now for 19 years with the longest-running community podcast, brought to you by the fine folks at Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things. People living in San Diego County, and we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.